Hello, my name's Aaron Espindola,
And I'm Linda OJ.
and welcome to another episode of the NextGen Business Podcast.
Let's go.
The NextGen Business Podcast is produced by the Small Business Community Network. Visit them online at www.sbcncanada.org.
So, Linda, how's your day been today?
It's been wonderful. We've had, my assistant who lives in the UK is on holiday at the moment. I've had a lot of work to catch up with. It's been a brilliant day and I feel motivated. And I'm hoping my hair salon in Waterloo region can open soon because I want my hair cut.
Oh, yeah, well, I think in Guelph, all of our hairstyles, like our salons, are open now, which is nice. But my barber's booked up because everyone's trying to get their haircut, so I have to wait a bit. So I went on, actually, that leads me into my, I guess, next topic that we're going to be talking about, which is going to be, I went into a job interview on Tuesday, so yesterday. I just had to think about that because I rescheduled it once before. But yeah, I went and I was kind of worried because I'm like, I don't have a haircut right now. I kind of look a little messy. So I was kind of worried about that. But thankfully, it went really well. And yeah, I can talk to you guys about it.
That is cool, but to me, your hair looks really good. But I've just been saying today, God, my fringe looks a mess and my hair's too long. And Dave said, sweetheart, nobody notices it but you. And then, sorry about this man, John Torrey. He's absolutely lovely. I've met him a few times. His hair, as he noted, was all over the place, wasn't it? And I don't know whether he's had it cut yet. And Dave says, the mayor of Toronto doesn't care about his hair. What should you?
Oh, yeah.
You didn't tell me you were going on a job interview, so I'm quite surprised. So why are you going on job interviews? Because I know you have a couple of small businesses.
Yeah, so I'm going just because, so as you already know, like I have the landscaping business, but that's summer. That's usually in the summer. And it's because of COVID, we didn't get a lot of clients, so we don't have that much revenue coming in. As well as with the clothing brand, it's taking a lot of money just to get it going, just getting samples, getting new products and even shipping them out and all that. It's costing me a little bit more than it should be at the moment. But right now I'm still trying to prove the concept and get investors later on. So it's kind of like something I'm willing to do right now. But in the meantime, I'm also working ahead to like have a backup plan just in case anything doesn't work out or just like be able to make some money outside of those two things. And I was actually looking for jobs. I was more or less looking for part-time because I'm still in school and I should be finishing September. But once I'm done school, I'm hoping that part-time job will lead to a full-time job. So I was actually looking on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a really good place to look for jobs. I've been telling my friends, I'm like, hey, go on LinkedIn, go to your connections. Like sometimes they're hiring or they have good recommendations as well. So if you're looking for a specific industry, then it'll keep showing you jobs there. For myself, I'm looking for like a bit like in finance. So I got a job interview at BMO, and it was kind of funny how it worked out because at first I got a job interview. I did it with their HR from Toronto, and I was supposed to be getting placed in Elora, but then I couldn't go there because I'm like, I just can't drive there every single day. I was thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, I can't do it. So then I emailed them back being like, hey, they wanted me for the second interview, and I'm like, hey, I can't commit to going to Elora all the time. So if a position opens up in Guelph, let me know. And then recently they emailed me being like, hey, a job opened up. Would you still be interested? So I'm like, yes, of course.
Oh my goodness, let me jump in there. So a couple of things for our listeners. This is perfect for you being so honest and saying, yeah, I'm still at school, one. Two, yeah, I'm operating a landscaping business and my clothing business, fashion business. But, the revenue is not coming in, the landscaping, hasn't been as good, probably because of COVID this year. So, I'm willing to try, a part-time job for now, which may lead to a full-time job. So that's really good advice for our listeners, because they may be thinking they've failed if the revenue is not coming in for the small business. And I love that the fact you talked about LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is my gold. It's where, I get a lot of work from. So I'm glad about that. Now, BMO, what does BMO stand for people who don't know what it is?
I'm pretty sure it's Bank of Montreal.
Yay! That's right. I was testing you. That was a question at the interview. So you want to work in finance. I didn't realise that. So what kind of job will you be doing? What kind of work will you be doing?
Well, right now, because it's a part-time job, it's not anything big. It's just I'm pretty sure I'm going to be like a teller or something, just people working at the front. But the way BMO works, and I'm pretty sure a lot of banks do it too, it's just getting your foot in the door. So for our listeners, it's maybe not about, sometimes you're not going to apply for the job you want, and it's hard to get those jobs that are really like sought after. So you kind of got to do the bad jobs first, or the jobs that are not as desirable.
No, seriously, it's great, because in my day, many years ago, for the children, I walked straight into the job I wanted, and I stayed there, until I became a mum. I was very lucky, but it's different today. Do you think what sold you to them was your brains, or the fact that, you're not bad looking, you got a good personality, and you're going to be good with the customers?
Well, hopefully I got the job. I'm not sure yet. They were finishing their last interviews today, so they're going to let me know. But I think one of the big things that I had over everyone else, I'm pretty sure, is the fact that she's really happy to know that I was from Guelph. So when they were interviewing me, they're like, "Oh, so you're actually from Guelph, like you're born and raised?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Okay, we love people that are like homegrown in the city, just so that they can like know stuff that customers are talking about, or even bring in a lot of people." And then I'm just like, "Oh yeah, I know a lot of people around here."
Come to my bank. It's the best bank in the world. Do you know, this is really good advice, because, why wouldn't they want somebody who knows Guelph? Because customers come in and they may say, "Hey, do you know how I can get to A, B, or C? Or do you know what, I don't know, other business I can go to? What name of the business? Do you know where it's located?" Well, good luck. I hope you get the job. And then how many hours would you be working, do you think? Do you know yet?
Well, right now they were saying around 18.75 a week, I'm pretty sure. Or no, I think that was bi-weekly. But they also are short staffed, like every other business in this world. Short staffed, so they're always looking for people to pick up shifts. And I told them that I'm 100% okay with picking up shifts. And they're also saying, like, I would be working in one location, which is like a 5-minute walk away from my house. And then I'd also be covering other ones in Guelph, as well as Milton. I don't think they said Mississauga, but Milton, Kitchener, Waterloo, like I could be going to those ones as well. So if you go to BMO, you can see me there.
Yeah, that's a plus. That's interesting, because, with most jobs today, they say, A, you haven't really got a job description, you're going to be able to do everything, and B, you will have to travel sometimes with your job, and that's nice that, because you've got a vehicle, you're able to do it. But obviously, and then it allows you to see the other people at the other branches and build relationships with them, doesn't it? And say, for instance, you want to stick at it and have a full-time job there, but you can't get into Guelph, you might get into one of the other locations because they actually like you.
Yeah, and another thing that she was talking to me about was how, like, the opportunity to grow. So make sure, like, any of our viewers listening, if you're looking for a job, that's one of the most important questions to ask at an interview is, like, how do you promote people? Is there opportunity to grow in it? Is there a ceiling? Is there a certain amount that I can't get past? And they were saying that in like 3 months I should have the job like figured out. In 6 months I should be comfortable, and then after that I can do like a mutual funds course, which is, she said, takes like 6 months or something like that. And then you can become a personal banker. From there, you have your own office working full time, and then you could do another course, which they highly like promote, and they really want their people to like actually take that course, because then they can start working with small businesses. And I forget what they were selling. I forgot what they were saying. It was like some package or something that you'd be able to sell after that. So
that's a good opportunity, and I think from the bank's perspective or the employer's perspective, being as you're asking, well, what opportunities is there to grow with the company? They know that you want to be with them a certain amount of time. You might not be with them forever, but at least you've got some long-term goals. And do they pay for the course and everything? You don't have to pay for the course?
I'm not 100% sure if they pay for it. It didn't seem like they did. Like, I feel like she would have said, oh yeah, we pay for the course too. But I don't think it was that expensive. I think she was saying like maybe $400.
That's not bad, it's a really good opportunity. I'm so proud of you. But like I said,
yeah, well, hopefully I get it. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. So I'm quite a lucky person. I don't really know the England game. England were playing, the football. England were playing Italy. And they have it's a cup. It's not the World Cup, but it's some European one. Yeah. So they haven't won anything since 1966. So, Dave was trying to watch it while he was in the middle of work, and I was just kind of watching on the sofa while I worked. I'm going, please get a goal, please get a goal. One of the goals was like from the other team. They got a goal for England, which it does count. But I mean, a lot of people say, well, I want to be a famous footballer, I want to be a famous hockey player. And the amount of kids who then are, young adults who actually get into those kinds of opportunities is slim, isn't it? Even if they get sponsorships, I mean, they might not go all the way. So what you're doing, you're making sure that you've got a good future if the other businesses don't work out. Your smaller businesses, you're making sure you've got some firm foundations, which is good.
Yeah, it's always important to have like a backup plan of fallback. And then sometimes people don't like that because you get comfortable with not doing or putting in 100% into the actual business that you're trying to do because you're like, worst case, I have something to fall back on. But the way you should think about it is do your business as you would, and then as well as like take the extra time to also like have a backup plan just in case. It'll be your like insurance policy in case your company goes bankrupt and then you don't have anything.
And I'm guessing your parents are happy because now you live with your mates, your friends, you've got to be able to pay your bills and everything. So, a lot of small business owners who come to the Small Business Community Network for us to mentor them, they don't understand that it's okay to do the businesses slowly and have a part-time job on the side because the stress of not being able to pay your bills is awful. So it takes away the stress. But I will say that part of why we do the podcast video is basically for the listeners to know that without good connections, without people to build relationships, without LinkedIn and the other social media platforms, really your job is much harder. So I still say to people like you're amazing at making the connections and building the relationships. So, emulate Aaron because you're doing a great job. So you've got to let me know if you hear anything about the job. I'll be so happy if you get it.
Oh yeah. I'll let you know for sure. Hopefully, the interview went really well. One of the things that they really liked was that I had a sales background, and they get their bonuses from like selling stuff. So she's like, "Oh, you have sales, and you've done that for 2 years. Oh, that's perfect."
And a lot of people think they're not selling when they've got a business. And even though we're now talking about you getting, an opportunity with another organisation, everybody's a salesperson, and that's why a lot of businesses fail because they don't realise they have to sell. And we all sell in a different way. You've got a different way to me. So basically, that's another thing. Mentors can help us know how they sell and how they approach that. So did you have to dress in a certain way, like a bank manager kind of deal, or?
Yeah, so I had a dress pants, dress shoes, and a dress shirt. No tie, I didn't want to go that formal. But I think my friend was like, "You look like a banker," and I'm like, "Perfect. I'm gonna go get this job now."
I've always thought bankers were a bit like boring and staid, but they're not. the worst that I could do is work in a bank, because I'm not very good at, numbers and stuff like that. I'd get the bank bankrupt. So I'm really happy. What are a couple of tips you want to leave with our listeners about what you think made your interview go well today? Obviously, you dressed great and everything, and you asked good questions. But what else do you think?
For our listeners and viewers, I think it's really important to build yourself up. So throughout your whole life, make sure that you're doing things that'll add to your resume, right? So for myself, like, I'm doing this volunteering thing because I want to help everyone out, but as well as like it helps me too, right? And then for business, I took like fashion. It's just stuff that I took fashion, I took sales. The job leading up to that, I was working in sales, and then I was also working in electronics. So those are all fields that I was like super interested in, which would help me later on in the future if I was looking for a job. It's like, hey, I know how to do sales. Like, I've done that for like 4 years, and it also helps me in my business. So when you're talking to someone that's looking at hiring you, it's really important to like highlight that and make sure that they know, like, hey, I'm good at talking with customers. I'm really friendly. I'm good at like problem solving, and I'm good at like listening to like what actually customers want. And one of the things that I think kind of set me apart from other people was the fact that I could have just said, oh yeah, I sold a lot of phones when I worked out with OSL and I got awards for that. But instead I was like, the thing I was most happy about or proud about was the fact that I had the lowest return rate of anyone in my team. Why would I be happy about that? Because at the end of the day, I did sell, but I also sold the right thing to the right customer. And that's really important, because if you can sell, I can just sell the cheapest plan to anyone and get them like 80% of the time, right? But then they're just going to return it because that plan's not for them. Every customer has a different plan. Every customer should be treated differently from the other customers. So you should listen to what they're actually saying and give them the best like deal that we have at the time. And that's something that they were also like, wow, I never thought about that.
That's amazing, because not all banks, I think they may have stopped doing it now, but I remember quite some years ago, my daughter was still living with us, but she had a part-time job, and she goes to our bank, which I love, but there was somebody new there. And I think they asked her 4 times if she wanted a credit card, and 4 times she says no. So they were doing exactly what you don't do. And you've exhibited to the person who was interviewing that you're really honest, you care about the customers, and you care about the brand of the organisation. So that's absolutely wonderful advice for anybody who's thinking about doing it. What do you think was did they asked you lots of questions? Was there one question that, you kind of went, oh gosh, I don't know the answer? Or did you, swan through them all and go, I'm perfect?
She didn't really ask me any hard questions. I did have some hard questions when I did the interview over the phone with the guy from HR from Toronto. He asked me a question like, hey, what's one time that you had a problem and then you had to deal with it? I'm just like, oh God, because it was like the same story that I told before, and I'm like, can I use the same story? Because I did turn it around, but just having to explain that you had a customer yell at you isn't always the best thing, because you kind of feel like you have to give a reason why they were yelling at you, and you don't want to just blame the customer for being silly or dumb. So you have to be really polite when you're explaining the story, to be like, hey, the customer was mad at me, I did these different things, and then by the end of it, they were happy. So for me, that was a little bit hard to answer, just because I didn't want to put the customer bad. Like, I didn't want to be like, that customer was rude.
So I guess what you're saying to our listeners is basically be honest, be credible, be yourself, and also don't apply for a job that you can't do or you don't think you're going to enjoy. That's my little bit of feedback, because you're not going to be happy and the company's not going to be happy. Do you know, you've really made my night. You've really made me feel happy, because you're just so, I'm trying to think of it, motivated, but you're also so honest and you're so friendly. And, to give these tips to people out there, they may be at school still, they may be students, they may have already started work or their own business, but this is food for thought. You've given us some really wonderful, wonderful ideas. Unfortunately, it's time to say goodbye to you. So it's goodbye from me.
And it's going to be goodbye from me. And for all of our listeners or viewers, make sure to check us out at the NextGen Business Podcast. That's the same on YouTube as well as Instagram. And then if you want to be on the podcast, just send us a DM on Instagram and we will get back to you as quickly as possible. But thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening. Check us out at www.nextgenbusinesspodcast.com.